women are men. Men in over the 6. The 6 men. What is your 3?
Yeah, number 4.
It's a baby brain. What size my baby was? Dang.
Oh, I didn't know.
You see what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
You have 2 left brains in here.
And let me guess, somebody with 2 right brains, huh?
Yeah.
Chicken tender.
You do look like chicken strip.
Now remember, if you decide that you're tired of me being in class and you want to see what makes me tick, you take my brain out by craniotomy. You understand that you can't do this to my brain because it's like jello. It's going to slide out. It's preservative that makes it solid. Okay? So when you look at this, you're using a blunt probe, not a short one, so you don't tear up the tissue. Frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobes, longitudinal fissure. The longitudinal fissure will not penetrate this central area, which is the diencephalon. Now you can readily see in each one the corpus callosum. What? The part that communicates to the right and left lobes of the brain. Now, in addition to that, you see this? I say, hey, this is the septum pellucidum, right? This is the tissue that divides, watch. See that? That's the lateral ventricle of the left hemisphere of the brain. This is where cerebral spinal fluid is filtered. You see this? This is not blood. This is the third ventricle. Fluid flows, lateral ventricles, third ventricle. These are the cells that filter the plasma. It's called choroid, C-H-O-R-O-I-D. And it continues. The choroid, if you look at your book, and I'll probably do this, consists of glial cells. The glial cells are called ependymal cells. The ependymal cells filter the plasma and they have cilia, so they aid in causing the cerebral spinal fluid to flow. Now, from here, it goes into the cerebral aqueduct. You all right today? You sure?
Yeah.
All right. This is the canal, the cerebral aqueduct. Now, if I tell you, okay, I'm going to give you a lab exam. What is this area that's anterior to the cerebellum and posterior to the pons? And you're going to tell me, oh yeah, well that's the 4th ventricle. On the 4th ventricle, it enters into the spinal canal. Now this area, this is the cerebellum, of course. So this white represents myelinated nerves. Myelinated nerves in the central nervous system are created by oligodendrocytes, which are also glial cells. I'm saying this because this was in the first packet that you did. Oligodendrocytes create the covering on neurons, and these myelinated nerves can transmit an electrical current 100 times faster than the unmyelinated nerves, which make up the cortex. But this, which is the cerebral cortex, cerebellum, central nervous system, brain mode. Okay, the spinal cord, the outer cortex is white matter. So in the spinal cord, white matter, okay, myelinated nerves, can transmit a current 100 times faster than unmyelinated nerves. So they create ascending and descending tracts that take stimulus from other parts of the body to the central nervous system. Get it processed, send it back. Now, cortex, your cerebral cortex, holds all your long-term memory. You can see the cortex here. This is where your long-term memory is. This is where your habits are, good habits and bad habits. This is where the area is you have to go do work to change your thinking patterns. Just me too, you know. So if I have to do that, then I have to do things that are going to stimulate the removal of habits that are not beneficial to me and replace it. So if you're going to have an exam, though, and you cram for the exam, it's not going to be here. You go to sleep and flush it in 36 hours.
Yeah.
So that knowledge is not going to stay. That's the reason I'm telling you, hey, you don't remember this. You put it's in short-term memory. It's gonna be gone by the time you really need it to pass your boards. Anyway, so this is the corpus callosum, the septum pellucidum, lateral ventricle, third ventricle. Uh-oh, I'm gonna get killed. Your pants smell like formaldehyde. What? What have you been doing? Hey, that ain't funny, man.
What's smelling your pants?
If I hang up in the closet, they smell whatever I've been doing.
Well, why don't you wash them first?
What?
Do you not wash them after every time you use them?
I don't wash my pants.
Who washes your pants?
I take all my clothes to the cleaners. So if I put my pants in the area where I have my clothes for the cleaners, you're going to smell it if you open the container. Huh? I live with real people.
He said he lives with real people.
So if this shit stinks, they're going to tell you. Well, look. If they love you, why are they going to let you walk around looking like a fool? You mean to tell me you're going to go to work like that today? Yeah. No, you're not. But anyway, listen.
Yes.
What y'all laughing at? This is real life. That's the reason I'm telling you straight. Get your shit together. I don't talk to people like that. But I want you to understand I'm serious about it. Because you can do it. But you have to make yourself do things you don't normally do. This is something you're going to be doing. You don't normally do this now.
All right.
Now, go to sleep, pineal gland. So what do you mean go to sleep? The pineal gland produces melatonin. That hormone is responsible for causing you to be sleepy during the regular circadian cycle, 24-hour cycle. You understand that people that don't have that, they have 6 months daylight, 6 months night. And so it affects this function. People that have jobs where they work at night, it affects this gland. Now, the way this is preserved, the pituitary gland is right there. Okay? It extends from the hypothalamus. I'm in this nursing home, and this person's child is in there actually being verbally abusive to the CNA. My mom is dehydrated. What's wrong with y'all people? You can't make her drink water? The woman's sitting up there with a glass of water. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The woman's had the glass of water since 8. Because the people lose the ability, they lose the sensation of thirst many times as they get older. They also lose the ability to have an appetite as they get older. Some people don't want to eat because the hypothalamus is not functioning properly for them. Okay? Now, this is the olfactory lobe. Now this sits right there on top of the ethmoid bone. Why? Because the extensions from the ethmoid bone go into the nasal cavity. Smell, right? Now, is your ability to smell are the neurons that affect this nerve. Are these receptors mechanical, chemical, or photon receptors?
It will be chemical.
Ding. You get ding. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, is taste and smell similar?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know, but I know.
Yes, you do know.
The
You already know. You just said, didn't you say,
smell, be able to taste.
you said if you could smell this, what type of receptor?
It's chemical.
So what about taste?
Same thing.
Same.
Yeah, they're closely
Have you ever noticed
associated.
that whenever you plug your nose, you can't taste the food you put in your mouth?
Normally you can.
I told you. Remember I told you pinch your nose.
Okay, now, so temporal, frontal, parietal, lobes, occipital lobes. This is the, what?
That's the cell. No, that ain't.
That's a cell what?
Cerebellum.
Cerebellum. Now, the brainstem is part of the brain. Everything below this is out of the brain, out of the foramen magnum. Okay, so this is called the midbrain. Midbrain. This protrusion here is the pons, and this area here is the medulla oblongata. Mr. Jackson, can you hold your breath for 5 minutes? Would you do that right quick for me? You can't do it, can you? Now, the diaphragm is a skeletal muscle, right? So why can't you hold it for 5 minutes?
Because your heart needs oxygen, your brain needs oxygen.
Well, not really. That is true in a way, but what I'm attempting to ask you is the reason you can't do it because the pons and the medulla control respiration and cardiovascular function. That's how you have to do it. So brain, what part of the brain? Well, I don't know. Yeah, you do know. The brainstem, the pons and the medulla control many other things, but they really do control respiration, cardiovascular function. So a lot of times when people have an injury that's above C3, it affects the brainstem. They're going to shut down because they've injured the area that controls respiration for oxygen and cardiovascular function for pumping oxygen and nutrients throughout the body.
Is that why quadriplegics have to have ventilators?
Because it affects the muscle. Okay, but usually these quadriplegics are not going to have injury up here because they won't be alive. Okay. Now, you need to go over this and learn it. Just take blunt probes out of the dissection kits, go over these, and recognize the lobes of the brain, gyri and sulci, the diencephalon with the corpus callosum and the fornix, the septum pellucidum and the longitudinal ventricle, lateral ventricle, third ventricle, cerebral aqueduct, fourth ventricle, pineal gland, midbrain, pons, and medulla. That's your assignment. You got 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. That means at 11:40, you'll be ready to do something else, take a break, and then finish the day.
Yeah,
Let's get at it. It's another